pictures, you can see stock market, dollar, you can see people, you can see a global map, you can see some lock and key picture, you can see a remote, which is actually not a remote, which is talking about the swiping machine, card swiping machine, right? You can see a building picture. So basically, as we'll move forward in this particular session, security, global market, economic growth, very good, yes, perfect, very good. I'm so glad to see the responses. Sheikh Taslim has very aptly picked up. I usually do not mention it. I always mention it in my sessions like a lock and key. This student has come up with the right term that we use later on is the privacy. Yes, exactly. Very good. Privacy. Then we've got this economic growth as well. So very good. Very good. And Asha ma'am has aptly written it as economic growth. Very, yes, ma'am. Exactly. We're on the same page. Glad to know that. Okay. So yes, exactly. As we'll move forward in this session, we'll see that FinTech is actually touching every nook and corner of our lives. It is not only finance that it is touching every nook and corner of our lives, right? So as we'll move forward, let me just take you through how FinTech was evolved. What is the mode? What is the process of its evolution? When we talk about financial technology, right, it is the technology and innovation that aims to compete with traditional financial methods, because this is something that is trying to make its way. FinTech is basically trying to make its way by overcoming the existing traditional methods in which were used for delivering the financial services. It is an emerging industry that uses technology to improve activities in finance. When FinTech emerged in 21st century, the term was initially applied to technology employed at the back-end systems. You know, we had a lot of financial institutions that are a lot of back-end work that needs to be done. So initially, the technology, when we talk about technology and finance, we were majorly concerned about when you have to do reconciling of the accounts, when you have to do some policies, that those were the back-end techniques where we used to think that in finance technology can be used. Since then, however, there has been a shift to a more consumer-oriented services, and therefore a more consumer-oriented definition of FinTech has come up. So FinTech now includes different sectors, industries such as education, retail banking, fundraising, and non-profit, along with investment management, to name a few. Financial technology companies consist of both startups and established financial institutions and technology companies trying to replace or enhance the usage of financial services provided by existing financial companies. Today, financial technology, that is FinTech, includes essentially any form of technological innovation, including automation, which is occurring within the financial sector. This can involve everything from the level of information, advice, education to improve consumer financial literacy, to services that streamline payments, money transfers, retail banking, lending, borrowing, investment management, fundraising, and definitely a lot more. When we talk about the application of FinTech, there are various perspectives, there are various dimensions of life where we can see that we are directly or indirectly with awareness or unawarely, we are using the FinTech. So when I just take you through the uses of FinTech, it basically, these are all services that have been widespread mainstream adoption. It is far more likely for someone to check their accounts online than at a bank branch or even over the phone. People pay for purchases using mobile wallets, and they support startups and causes through their crowdfunding. So they use investing apps to monitor markets and make and execute decisions regarding their own investments. So it is technically becoming a part of our lives. So whether it is mobile banking, whether it is using smartphones for investing, for borrowing services, even for investing in cryptocurrencies, for doing irregular money transfers, or for raising funds for a business startup. Everywhere you can see that you no longer needs to physically visit any bank, any person right now, and you can immediately focus on what you want to do. You can immediately focus, you can rightly focus on all the activities that you want to pursue without consuming your time on, physical visits, right? So definitely all these activities are part on application of FinTech. Till here, any doubt to anyone, just let me know. Anything if you want to ask. Students, feel free. You can simply write in chat box, no hassles, if you have any doubt. If it is good to go, you can just show me a thumbs up or raise your hands. Okay, perfect. Asha ma'am, students are these days so prompt at this. You just ask them, raise your hand, they'll suddenly do it. That, okay, fine. This is how they just simply close things these days. Okay, so I'm assuming that you're able to get what I'm speaking, but still, in case, meanwhile, if you find any doubt, just let me know. Next topic is, now we're going to talk about the most active areas where FinTech innovation includes or it revolves around. There are a lot of areas where FinTech is touching these days, but I have picked up some out of the box areas. I have already discussed about loans. I've already discussed about cryptos. I have already discussed about a lot of other things which we usually go through in life. But in this segment, I've picked up some little different segments, little different dimension, so that you'll get to know something new. At least if you come to know about these new technology, new terminologies, that will be the takeaway from this session, right? So we'll start with, we've already discussed about cryptocurrencies. We all know, we have discussed about digital cash. So digital cash is basically when we are making online payments. Next is when we talk about blockchain technology. Blockchain technology, we will see that it is the base for number of other things, number of other techniques that FinTech is doing these days. So blockchain technology is basically used to maintain records on a network of computers, but it has no central ledger. It has no central database, right? When we talk about smart contracts, next is smart contracts, which utilizes computer programs. It is also based on the blockchain technology to automatically execute the contracts between buyers and sellers. Here we are talking about majorly derivative markets. These smart contracts are used majorly in the derivative markets, where you have filled in a particular price, that this is the stop loss price, this is the price below which I will not go, right? This is the price, higher than this I will not buy. So these are the smart contracts where in derivatives market we save ourselves from losses. Next is open banking. Open banking is a concept that leans on the blockchain and posits that the third parties should have access to bank data to build applications that create a connected network of the financial institutions and the third-party providers. Just take an example here. In Delhi, we have a lot of outlets where you just go to a showroom and you can buy all the electronics, even the furniture, through Bajaj Finance. If any of you have heard about it, Bajaj Finance. So Bajaj Finance is one of those third-party connectors through which you can get your commodities, your assets financed. You just go to a showroom, you just visit a showroom, you want to buy a refrigerator, you want to buy an air conditioner, right? But you do not have that much of cash. You do not have 60,000, 80,000 or 1 lakh rupees in your account right now. But this is the need of the hour and you need to buy refrigerator, right? Costing 80,000 rupees. So how will you buy that? What you can do is You can just go to the representative of Bajaj Finance, tell them about your requirement. They will have their policies, they will have their schemes on those particular categories of refrigerator. They will tell you, they will check your CIBIL score. CIBIL score, what is CIBIL score? This we will talk in detail. They will check your financial credibility, and if your financial credibility is good, then they will give you an approval to finance your commodity. Now, how this all happened, they got to know, they were connected through a network. They got to know how you have been paying your EMIs. They got to know how you've been paying your loans. They got to know what is the amount in your bank and how many loans you've taken previously and how good you were there paying back it. So considering all these things, they will eventually tell you that, yes, this is how much we can finance for you. So usually they end up financing 80 to 90% of the commodity. And sometimes if the amount is small, you do not need to pay any down payment. It is just that your 100% is financed. But that depends on your CIBIL score, and that also depends on your commodity amount, right? Next is InsurTech. This is the area where we're talking about the use of technology in the insurance sector. RegTech is the combination of technology with reference to regulations, where there are chances of financial scams. How regulations can be made to make technology more scumbent to the policies, to the department, to the industry, and how to avoid those probable potential financial scams. Next are the robo-advisors. Robo-advisors are basically the advisors through with whom you can chat only directly on the website of that particular bank or any other financial institution. They can guide you with reference to your investments. They can guide you with reference to the future investment schemes or saving scheme which you want to opt for. Because, you know, why these days robo-advisors are getting more acceptance by people, by investors, because when you talk to an individual with reference to some suggestions for your investments or savings, then definitely somewhere or the other that individual's personal behavioral biases, you know, they affect their decision making and they affect their suggestion as well. So that is why these days robo-advisors are more in trend. Okay. Next are the unbanked or underbanked services, which are basically meant to help to guide the low income groups of people who are usually ignored, and people who never had these accounts in banks. So Prime Minister Modi introduced Jan Dhan Yojana. He introduced a number of other schemes this way, so that people who are underprivileged, people who fall under the category of low income group, should also get the benefits of these financial institutions. Last is the cyber security. Definitely, it is one of the technique. It is one of the area where it is very, very important. And when you talk about this security and your money, then definitely it is very, very important for all of us to be vigilant. It is very important for all of us to take the due focus, to give due focus to all these technology driven cyber things, so that we should not fall prey to any kind of financial scams. Yes, when we talk about what's happening, what is happening is, according to the EY, Ernst & Young's 2021 update, they have just mentioned in a report that in their FinTech adoption index, 1/3 of consumers utilize at least 2 or more FinTech services. And those consumers are also increasingly aware of FinTech as part of their lives. So what they're talking about is that gradually people are using FinTech, gradually people are using it, right? They're becoming aware, they know how to go about it, right? There is some issue. Can you see my PPT? Asha ma'am, is it visible?
No, ma'am, it is not visible to me.
It is not visible, right? Yeah. I was just trying to admit a student, and somehow I just closed my PPT. Just a second. Just a second.
Ma'am, you are audible, but we are unable to see your screen share.
Yes. Yes. I hope it's visible now.
Yes, now.
Okay,
It's
perfect. Okay, so next are the fintech users. Technically, who are the fintech users? Obviously, it's everyone. It's me, it's you, your parents, your friends, your siblings. Everyone is in the category of fintech users. But when we categorize them, it becomes B2B for banks, right? When businesses directly coordinate through the banks. Banks, business, clients. When bank coordinate with the clients on behalf of their client, right? Bank has a client and bank is asking a client of its client to pay the money, or is it receiving money on their client's behalf? B2C for small businesses. Lot of businesses are these days coming up for crowdfunding. They're coming for venture capital. They're coming from startups. So whenever these small businesses require funds, they do use fintech. And finally, the consumer, who is us. So every one of us, each one of us is using fintech in some or the other way. Let's just go through two small examples to understand how fintech is used technically in practice. So I'll just take a small example of a credit card and through a bank, right? Okay. So just take an example. A firm seeks to cut credit card companies out of the line of online shopping process by offering a way for consumers to secure immediate short-term loans for purchases. While rates can be high, firm claims to offer a way for consumers with poor or no credit at all, which is a way to both secure credits and also build their credit histories. Because if they are going to get purchases, online purchases from this company, and if they repay on time, definitely they are going to build some CIBIL, some credit credibility in the form of CIBIL score. For consumers with no or poor credit, companies offer consumers microloans by doing a deep data dig on their smartphones for their transaction history and seemingly unrelated things such as mobile games they play. Companies seek to give such consumers better options than local banks, unregulated lenders, and other microfinance institutions. Just a small example for the students who can relate to it, why they are using mobile games, what you play, as a basis to give you a loan. Can you find any link in this? Anyone? Can you find any link in this? I've just mentioned that these fintech companies, they just scroll down through your phone. They just see what games you play, what kind of transaction histories you have. Why they will want to know which type of mobile games you play to give you loan. Anyone? Just a vague idea will work. Anyone? Okay, I'll just help you out. See, what happens is there are a lot of games these days, right? And when you play these games, some are paid games. Okay, there is some response to know their interest and taste. Okay, so Yumna Parveen has written to know their interest and taste. Shanawaz has written to check that we are not engaged in illegal gaming. Very good, very good, good, very nice. Okay, yes. So considering the points given by Parveen and Shanavas, surely in addition to it, I would like to add on a point that, whenever you play these mobile games, some games are paid, you all know. Some are free. Even when you play for paid games, definitely you are making some payment. But for free games, even when you play free games, during the time when you play, they will show you that these are the diamonds that you can buy, these are the stars that you can buy. So definitely they would want to see that have you ever been prey to these online things? Have you ever been engaged in making some direct or indirect payment, whether you were aware or you were not aware, and there might be something. If you have connected your payment via your mobile, your payment mode will be selected and the amount will be deducted, right? So this is how and why they need to know that what kind of games you play. Okay. And next, we will talk about a small home mortgage, right? So similarly, better mortgage seems to streamline the home mortgage process with a digital-only offering that can reward users with a verified pre-approval letter within 24 hours of applying. FinTech companies like Green Sky, like HDFC is also one of the fintech companies these days, to link home improvement borrowers with banks by helping consumers avoid entrenched lenders and save on interest by offering zero interest promotional periods. Because these fintech companies are also able to save a lot of money with reference to whatever they're doing, with reference to saving a lot of money on the physical visits of their employees. They can work on less number of employees, that also saves their cost, right? So it is very, very important that what and how it is going to work, and what and how it actually works, right? So after this, let's just have a look. Let's have a brief discussion on something which is called CIBIL score, which is very, very important for all of us to know and understand. And it has no relevance to whether we belong to finance background or not. This is a concept for life. All of us need to know this. CIBIL score, why it is so mysterious and how it is used to judge my creditworthiness. So when we talk about CIBIL, the full form for CIBIL is the Credit Information Bureau India Limited. It basically maintains a lot of accounts for individuals. So it maintains credit files of almost 600 million individuals and 32 million businesses. Before we actually start with, there are some aspects to it that all of us need to know. It is basically one of the four. CIBIL is one of the most popular of the four credit information companies licensed by RBI. CIBIL Limited maintains credit files of, we know, 600 million individuals and 32 million businesses. CIBIL India is actually a part of TransUnion, which is an American multinational group. So the credit scores that we give in India, we call them CIBIL scores, are actually CIBIL TransUnion scores. When we talk about a CIBIL report, it is a report that is consolidated credit report that includes the consumer's CIBIL score and credit summary, personal information, contact information, employment information, and loan amount information. There are 3-digit numeric representation, which ranges from 300 to 900. And here, obviously, 300 is the least. It is very poor CIBIL score, and 900 is the best. Whereas, on an average, we say that 700, any number 700 plus is a good CIBIL score for everyone. Now, what are the benefits of having a good CIBIL score? Number is that you have definitely high chances of getting a loan approval. Second is that, why? Because every bank, every financial institution, if they're going to approve a bank loan to you, they definitely check on the CIBIL score, your credibility, financial credibility, they definitely check on. Next is, if your CIBIL is good, then you have a possibility of getting loan at low rate of interest, and definitely the limits of your credit cards will be increased. Usually you see that if you're paying all your EMIs on time, you will receive messages time and again that we are increasing your limit, because you have good CIBIL and you've been paying your EMIs regularly, right? So this was about CIBIL. Something new, which is where we were talking about what is FinTech, where it is and where it is going. So now we will talk about where it is going, what kind of disruptions it has done to the existing industries, what kind of disruptions it has done to the existing system, whether it is financial system or it is any other system. So up till now, financial services institutions offered a variety of services under a single umbrella. The scope of these services encompassed a broad range from traditional banking activities to mortgage and trading services. In its most basic form, FinTech unbundles these services into individual offerings. The combination of streamlined offerings with technology enables FinTech companies to be more efficient and cut down on cost associated with each transaction. If one word can describe how many FinTech innovations one term, if I can use one term to use all the activities that have been done by the FinTech in all the industries taken together, will be disruption. Why? Because it has created almost an havoc, that because all the existing industries were trying to save themselves with the impact that financial technology is creating. The kind of niche, the kind of space FinTech has created for itself, the kind of comfort it has given to consumers has definitely led all these industries to stand up and think about some better techniques and think about some better strategies to get their places back. Traditional banks have been paying attention to this, and they have heavily invested into becoming more like the companies that seek to disrupt them. For example, investment bank Goldman Sachs, I hope all of you must have heard the name. So Goldman Sachs launched consumer lending platform Marcus back in 2016 and recently expanded its operations in United Kingdom just to keep itself updated, just to keep itself at same pace as the other fintech companies are doing. That said, many tech-savvy industry watchers warn that keeping a pace of fintech-inspired innovations requires more than just ramped-up technology spend. Rather, competing with lighter, on-their-feet startups requires a significant change in thinking, processes, decision-making, and even overall corporate structure. Next, when we talk about is fintech and new tech. Fintech is basically the financial technology, and new tech is what different new technologies are coming up to support financial technologies. One is the machine learning or the artificial intelligence. And along with that, a lot of learning apps are also coming up with the use of fintech financial technology so that, everyone in the society can be financially literate. When we teach securities analysis, that's a course in is the course of the specialization subject in finance, MBA. So when we teach securities analysis and investment portfolio management, so what we do is we usually ICICI has a virtual portfolio making platform. So we put students through all those virtual investment platforms so that they learn how exactly industry works, how exactly stock market works. And those, and just to your surprise, if you've not used them, these stock market apps work exactly on the timings when our real stock market works. When NSE or BSE works, 9:30 to 3:30, Monday to Friday, these are the timings when these apps work. You cannot make or sell, buy or sell anything on these apps when the market is closed. Although these are the virtual apps, but they give students or the learners a real-time learning. So that's why these learning apps are also supportive to make the society financially literate, to increase the level of literacy in the society, so that more and more people should save themselves from a lot of financial scams. So when we talk about fintech landscape is basically expanding its horizons. In 2016, it was 17.4, whereas in 2018, it became $247.37 billion market. And when we talk about the current status of 2022, so this fintech market, including all the unicorns, including all the startups, including all the venture capital funding, the crowdfunding, it has almost become a $2,000 market, $2,000 billion market. So definitely the market is expanding. FinTech is here to stay with all of us. Next, something very, very important to know about FinTech is the regulation. What does regulation, what type of regulations we have? So when we talk about financial services, it is among the most heavily regulated sectors in the world. Not surprisingly, regulation has emerged as the number one concern among governments as fintech companies take off, because there are a lot of loopholes still present in the industry. As technology is integrated into financial services processes, regulatory problems for such companies have multiplied. In some instances, the problems are a function of technology. In others, they are a reflection of the tech industry's impatience to disrupt finance. For example, automation of processes and digitalization of data makes fintech systems vulnerable to attack from hackers. Recent instances of hacks at credit card companies and banks are the illustrations of the ease with which bad actors can gain access to systems and cause irreparable damage. The most important questions for consumers in such cases will pertain to the responsibility for such attacks as well as misuse of the personal information and important financial data, which is very, very important for all of us to understand and know that these are the type of crimes to which we may fall prey. So be very, very careful. There have also been instances where the collision of a technology culture that believes in a move fast and break things philosophy with the conservative and risk-averse world of finance has produced undesirable results. San Francisco-based insurtech startup Zenefits, which was valued over $1 billion in private markets, broke California's insurance laws by allowing unlicensed brokers to sell its products and underwrite insurance policies. The Security Exchange Control Commission fined the firm $980,000 and they had to pay $7 million to the California's Department of Insurance. So this is very, very important for all of us to understand the loopholes of the regulatory system, how to save ourselves, and to work towards it. Next are some of the prominent news that were covering up fintech. So I've just gathered them. One is that Yes Bank has partnered with the fintech meetup to drive grassroots level. New Bank has just released its IPO in collaboration with Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is backing that fintech issue. RBI proposed a paper on digital payment charges where they will be covering up some Paytm payments and fintech companies. And JPIN announced strategic investments in AI-driven fintech company TSLC. So why I've taken up these news? I've taken up these news just to put you at the right page so that you know that what is happening in this industry, why this particular industry we're talking about, and why there is a need for you to understand why your college has organized this webinar for you on this trend. So next is it a trend or not a fad? It is actually a trend. FinTech, we have already discussed a lot about this, and we all know that yes, it is going to stay with us. It is going to work for all of us. It is just going to make our life very, very easy. So the current consensus is that this trend will only continue its rapid rise. FinTech has broken away from the financial services sector, where it remains critical and has reached out into every business with dealings with the financial service industry. This means, of course, that it affects essentially every kind of business, and that we have already seen and discussed. The disruption comes from the small, agile, and versatile nature of FinTech startups. They are able to move quickly and with a degree of precision that simply isn't available to the hulking titans comprising the traditional financial institutions across the globe. These companies innovate rapidly and keep up with needs as they arise, making them highly appealing to businesses and therefore the investors. Now, where all do we look forward to FinTech? One of the prominent sectors which FinTech is affecting and going to affect is the Forex, foreign exchange market. So when we talk about Forex, It is obvious that FinTech is opening countless opportunities for consumers and businesses in general. That said, Forex specifically has a great deal to gain from FinTech as we move into the future. Tools are becoming increasingly numerous, sophisticated, and easy for everyday traders to use. This is allowing people to make more informed trades based on solid strategies they understand. Moreover, it is permitting them to just a second. Lot of students were waiting. Yeah, it is permitting them to do so within safer markets overall. Despite the fact that fintech startups don't typically make top headlines that keep the public spotlight, they are continually developing new technologies that help to make it possible for traders and the general public to better understand forex trading possibilities. Each new year brings a string of new developments in everything from account management to transaction technology. Every component becomes more streamlined for users to manage them with greater ease and less inclination to hesitate to use them in the first place. So first we will talk about HFT. HFT is the high frequency trading. HFT has also improved and will continue to do so. Those who are already trading in the industry can already see this trend underway. Though HFT was traditionally bad for the industry because we always considered that high frequency is not good for the market, because if market goes up suddenly and frequently, then definitely it will come down even more sharper way. But automation technology is making it possible for HFT to become a positive movement within the market and may eventually eliminate the need for human interaction. Forex industry has become quite familiar with computer programmed algorithms and robots, making it possible for traders to gain greater access to higher trade volumes without adding the risk that used to be involved in this type of strategy. Moving ahead, markets that were once swamped by fake traders and false moves, markets, they are seeing the replacements with intelligent automation that is reducing risk while greatly improving market legitimacy. This is only expected to continue to make visible and measurable improvements within this space. So before we close the session, I have spoken for almost an hour now. So I just wanted the students to revisit what we have already discussed. So, ma'am, can I just play a video? Will it work?
Yes, ma'am. It works.
Okay. So, I'll just take a moment. Just a second. I'll just share the video now. Asha ma'am, I'll just need your support. In case if you do not see video or if there is no audio, just let me know, please.
Yes, ma'am, definitely.
I'm playing the video.
If you've ever paid for something with your phone, transferred money using an app, or checked your bank statement online, then you're already part of a multi-billion-dollar industry. It's called FinTech, and it's changing economies around the world. FinTech FinTech is short for financial technology. Seems simple, right? Well, the term FinTech includes a huge range of products, technologies, and business models that are changing the financial services industry. It refers to everything from cashless payments to crowdfunding platforms to robo-advisors to virtual currencies. So every time you donate to someone's Kickstarter campaign, that's FinTech. Or if you transfer money to someone using Venmo, that's also FinTech. And that's just the beginning. Here at a major FinTech conference in Amsterdam, hundreds of companies are trying to disrupt the banking and finance industries by changing the way we pay and borrow money. And investors are buying it. Global investment in the FinTech sector has added up to nearly $100 billion since 2010. In 2017 alone, FinTech investment surged 18%. Startups focusing on payment and lending technologies received the majority of those funds. It's not just startups that are getting into FinTech. Some of the world's biggest companies, from Apple to Alibaba, are going big on it too. Just think of Apple Pay or Alipay. One reason for all of this investment, consumers are adopting FinTech fast. 1 out of every 3 people across 20 major economies report using at least 2 FinTech services in the last 6 months. China and India are leading the way, with more than half of consumers using services like money transfers, financial planning, borrowing, and insurance. Financial technology has filled a void for people around the world who don't have access to traditional banking services. In fact, it's estimated nearly 2 billion people worldwide are without bank accounts. Now, thanks to FinTech, all you need is your phone to take out a loan or insurance. Take Kenya, which pioneered a mobile banking system called M-Pesa. Kenyans access their M-Pesa accounts directly on their mobile phones to transfer money, pay bills, or take out loans. Today, an estimated 96% of households in Kenya use M-Pesa, and one study found it has helped lift roughly 2% of Kenyan households out of extreme poverty. The rise of FinTech has forced traditional lenders, insurers, and asset managers to embrace new digital technologies. For example, wealth managers now have to compete with robo-advisors, which are automated financial planning services. I mean, talk about rise of the robots, right? Thanks to high-tech algorithms, these services are available 24/7 and can be more affordable than traditional asset managers. That helps explain why some robo-advisors already have billions of dollars under management. Like any growing industry, FinTech isn't without risks, and some regulators have struggled to keep up with the fast pace of innovation. Think of peer-to-peer lending platforms, where individuals borrow and lend without going through a bank. Compared to traditional banks, these services might not be required to set aside as much money in case customers default on their loans. This can be risky for companies and consumers. Data privacy is another major concern. As more financial services go digital, cyber attacks become a bigger risk. The challenges facing financial technology are likely to grow as more businesses go digital. But for many of the companies and consumers here, FinTech is more than a buzzword. It's a big business opportunity. Hey everyone, Elizabeth here. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to check out more.
Yes. So this video was actually summing up all what we have just discussed, all the pointers that we have basically talked about in our last slides. So any questions? Anyone?
Yes, regarding the questions, I would like to request all the participants, you can post a question in the chat box, and those questions will be read out to the madam. Yes, ma'am, we got a question to you. What is the difference between SUP-TECH?
Yeah,
FinTech
SupTech and RegTech. RegTech. Yeah.
Yes.
RegTech, we have already discussed that this is the combination of the technology with the regulations. What type of regulations with reference to financial companies are there? How we can save ourselves from financial scams? How strict, how rigid the technology, the regulations need to be to save people right? And SupTech is basically how the technology is going to supersede, how the the service sector and the technology are mingling up, and how this can help all of us. The Swiggy, the Zomato, these are the examples of SupTech, where the services has collaborated with the technology dimension, and it has helped the consumers. So SupTech is basically service driven, and RegTech is the regulation driven.
As participants, this session is meant for you. So kindly post the questions and they can get the answers from our speaker, ma'am.
Ma'am, Nagaraju has raised his hand.
Yes, ma'am, Nagaraju sir. He's
That's
our
so.
HOD sir.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Good evening, madam.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. I have given cluster clarity regarding CIBIL score. What is the meaning of CIBIL score? What are the advantages of having good score? I have one doubt, madam.
Yes, sir.
What is the impact if I have minus CIBIL score?
Sir, it cannot be in negative, because the range that they have is from 300 to 900. 300 is the least. Right? If you have not been somebody who is not paying loans, right? The EMIs are getting bounced or not paying EMIs on time, then the whatever positive you have, that will be deducted from the original score. But 300 in itself is like a negative score. So the range of CIBIL is from 300 to 900. It is technically no negative CIBIL score.
So when I applied for a loan, madam, when I saw my credit score, it told me minus score. That is why they're not giving the loan. Actually, if you take loan and repay, you will have better score.
Yes, definitely, yes. But somebody who has been into a regular job, somebody who has been into, say, government job, or somebody who has been a regular earner, somebody who had a good number of transactions in accounts. So, and if you go as a first timer for the loan, then also there will not be any problem. But it is not only about the loan, sir. What I tell you, what would have happened is, it is not only about the loan. Sometimes it happens that our electricity bill, our mobile bills are unintentionally getting delayed. Right. I have seen a lot of people who uses postpaid mobile connections, and they usually pay after the due date. So these small things, when they club, they definitely negatively impact our financial credibility. Right? So definitely, yeah. So it would not have been because you have not, you have a negative thing. But yes, it may have some things which are lined up, which are clubbed up from last 20 years or 30 years, which, we have not even taken note of.
Actually, bank money is telling generally you should take loan, you have to repay, then you will have a better score.
Yeah, definitely that is there, but you just that is not the reason. Just to improve CIBIL, somebody will take a loan. Yeah.
Thank you, madam. Thank you, madam.
Yes.
Very nice.
Pooja ma'am, we got a question from one of our participants, and the participant wants to know: are there any courses which are related to FinTech?
I think yes, there is a course in Coursera. I'll just write down. I'll just Coursera is an online learning platform. So I think there is one course that I have come across. It is there through which you can learn FinTech. Okay, so I'll just see. Next question is from Tarun, right?
Yes, Tarun. Yes, another question is from Tarun.
Tarun, can you just unmute yourself and please elaborate on your question, because I think there is something missing in typing. Because you said that we take banks, we had many branches for each, and every bank like that only we had any offline availability or entire transaction are in online.
Pooja ma'am,
Yes,
the
ma'am.
question from Tarun is, in case of banks, we can have both online option and offline option. Whereas in
For
case of fintech, we have only online option.
yes,
So I think
yes,
participant
yes.
wants to know about offline option for fintech.
Okay. See, there are in banks definitely we have online and offline. When you're online, you're doing it online, then you're automatically using fintech. So, but yes, because we do not depend 100% on fintech or on the technology itself. So there are customer centers, there are people who are there in case technology bangs up, because these days if you go to public sector banks, number of times you'll see that the server is down and nothing can be done. So yes, there are alternatives to it. If the technology is not assisting us, if there is some problem with the technology, you can directly go to the bank branch and get the assistance.
It's Pooja ma'am. Another question. We would like to know any fintech scams which have taken place in India.
Fintech scams. Yeah, there was some time back. There was a scam. Although the amount was small, but all those scams which come across you. There was even web series on that where people just call up. They say that this much money you need to transfer to get this particular scheme, right? If you receive any mails that are talking about that you have received a whole lot of property from somebody in US, one of your great grandfather's friend, and you need to pay 1 lakh or 10 lakh rupees to get that property. So all these kind of scams are the examples of fintech scams, because anywhere where the people, where the person is not physically in touch, but yes, they are creating the scam with the use of technology.
Madam, recently one fraudulent practice has come up relating to Book My Show.
Asha ma'am, I'm
Yeah.
not able to get. Yes, please go ahead.
Recently, a situation has come up relating to Book My Show, which is taking much extra amount from those people who go for online booking. So, will it come under fintech scam?
No, it is not a scam. It is something that they are just they will definitely, if somebody sue them for this, they will definitely come up with some hidden charges, and they will validate themselves, right? So scam will come up if you are not able to see the amount. Scam will come up when you're able to see that what 250 everyone is paying. On face of it, you are paying 250, but from your account, the amount that is deducted after 10 minutes is another 100 rupees. That is a scam. In this case, if they're charging offline people 250 and in online they're charging 300, so they're gonna defend it with reference to some or the other kind of charges.
So, what regulations government can impose in such cases of Book My Show scam?
Yeah. Government is doing a lot of things. So this is something like a normal, whenever we go to market to buy a product, the tagline is you cannot sell products higher than the MRP. On a product, it is there. But when it comes to services, it is simply the service that they are providing. Book My Show is providing a service. Right. So for service, there is no as such rule or regulation, like for a particular kind of service, how much you can charge. But for a product, you cannot charge a higher than MRP. But for service, definitely it depends on the service provider.
And there is a question from another participant, Rajesh Sharma. He is asking, fintech apps, do they really secure the money of the people?
You need to be vigilant. I told this. You need to be vigilant. Although all these good banks are taking all the precautions, but yes, you need to be vigilant. Even from credit card, we have seen these kind of cases have happened that you have your credit card, somebody scanned it somewhere. You withdrawn some money from an ATM. You came out with the card, and using the same information, someone else has withdrawn money from ATM. So you need to be vigilant, definitely. I never say that that there's 100% of your money is safe. No, no, not at all. Everyone, all of us need to be very, very vigilant when we are using technology.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. And another question from Uday Kuldeep. He wants to know, FinTech, DeFi, are they same? FinTech, DeFi, DEFI.
Let me just see. Is it in the chat box, ma'am?
Oh, yes, madam. It is in chat box. FinTech and DeFi.
DeFi is, how will I explain? Let me see. DeFi is something, that we usually refer to the industry, which basically, what would I say? It is digital money. It is majorly talking about digital finance. So digital finance is, FinTech is basically broader term, and digital finance comes under the umbrella of FinTech.
Yes, ma'am. Another question. Which country has the largest potentiality for the development of FinTech technology? I mean, FinTech industry.
FinTech industry, India. Definitely. They are saying India is one of the strongest potential country that has the scope for FinTech. Just see these days when we see the job opportunities for software engineers, they are coming up like anything, right? So in the developing nations, India is being the top ranker right now.
How can one measure the potentiality of the FinTech industry development, madam?
Okay. See, it is about, we have already discussed the dimensions which FinTech is touching. So as many dimensions FinTech is touching, the better the systems are becoming, right? Just take an example. I give you my personal example. I have a bank account in a private bank, and I have a bank account in a public sector bank. So whenever I want to use the app or do some online transaction in that public sector bank, till date, I have never been able to, because the systems are so slow, I have never been able to. Whereas for that particular private bank, I have been able to do it even from my mobile phone. So the better the systems are, the better the technology, the easy use of technology, whichever is given. As the easiness will come, as the smooth flow of transactions will come, definitely you can say that industry is growing. Ma'am, you're on mute. Asha ma'am, you're on mute.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am, for the answer for my question. There is another question from Shanawaz, wants to know disadvantages of financial technology.
One is if you have lack of financial literacy, then definitely everyone will try to make you fall prey of the financial scams. So lack of financial literacy will definitely lead you towards the problematic situation. Number two is lack of vigilance. If you are not being vigilant with reference to what type of apps you are using your bank details in any public computer, or you're using your bank details in multiple systems, then definitely you are putting yourself and your finances at risk. Right? So this is also one of the disadvantage or risk. And number three, what I will quote is that be very, very careful. If you trust a particular person, if you trust a particular organization or a mode of technology, if you trust, a technology that has come from Microsoft, we will say that it's going to be safe, right? So just know about the brand from which the technology has driven or has come. So take these three things in mind before you actually focus on using more and more of FinTech.
Yes, ma'am. Another question from our participant, Naresh, wants to know, is fintech a threat to the banking system?
Not really, not really. It has become a friend to them. Yes, obviously, the need for physical interaction has reduced drastically, but yes, it has also smoothened the process of working of banking system. Earlier, if you have to make a payment, you had to personally visit the bank, stand in the queue, and that cashier had to do personally do all the 50 transactions by himself, which was technically not easy for him and not for the people who have to make the transactions. But with the use of financial technology, out of 50, only 10 people are going to bank now. So it has given easiness to us. I can just transfer money with the click of a button. It has given space to the banking people. It has given space to the banking infrastructure to to smoothline their work, to make it more comprehensive, and not to do a lot of mistakes, because earlier we saw that a lot of errors were there with reference to banking system. In fact, I have seen one of the errors of my life, that the amount was supposed to be deducted from Mr. A, and by the mistake of that banking personnel, the amount got deducted from Mr. B's account. So yes, definitely it is not a threat. FinTech has become friends to them.
Before the completion,
Madam,
The participant, Sheikh Habiba, wants to know whether fintech industry is the fastest growing one. I think yes, because you just have clarified. And India is one of the country which is experiencing fastest growth potentiality in fintech.
yes, exactly.
Participant, you can post if you want to know any. You can post question. If dear participants, you can utilize this session. Ma'am, Shanavas wants to know how these fintech companies earn money.
They earn money through the number of transactions you do. If you're using HDFC or if you're using Paytm, if you're using any other app, right? The number of transactions you do, the more money they will get, because they will be coordinating with the bank. If I'm talking about Paytm, and Paytm, if you go to Paytm, you can make payment from any bank, from any card, debit card, credit card, any other bank's card, right? So Paytm has collaborated with all the banks for all the account transactions, for all the bank card-based transactions, and for all the transactions, Paytm is going to get a commission or a transaction charge from these banks. So this is how these fintech companies make money.
Madam, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir.
Madam, what is the difference between CIBIL and CRIF, ma'am?
Sir, CIBIL is something which we are using mostly these days, and because it is simply based on how well, how punctually, how regularly you've been paying your all EMIs and all your due payments. When we talk about CRIF, CRIF is basically majorly related to the companies, whereas CIBIL is majorly related to the individuals as well as businesses. But CRIF is majorly related to the companies basically, and the big bureaucratic companies.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt. Actually, I have applied for a loan last week. When the manager has taken my CIBIL score was around 734. So he said, your CIBIL score is superb and we can give you a loan. And after a couple of days, he called me saying that, sir, right now SBI is checking out even CRIF. And in the CRIF score, your score is 300. So we cannot give you a loan. I said, as you said, ma'am, when I just Googled, I just came to know that it's about company and all. So I argued with him saying that, sir, CRIF is not for individuals. Why are you please considering mine? He says, no, sir. Nowadays, CRIF is also for individuals and your score has come down to 300. I was just like astonished to see the difference. There, 734 and here it is 300.
300,
so
yeah.
That's
exactly.
reason I wanted to have a small this thing, ma'am.
Yeah, no, this I'll also cross check, because even if government RBI has made it for all individuals and the companies, but then what is the basic difference? What are the difference in parameters where 734 has been equated with 300, right? That's a big thing.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, definitely.
Thank
you, sir. That's a good question for me as well. I'll get back to you over this.
But what I understood from that report, what the manager showed me is, in the CRF report, there was only about my loans and the loans for which I am the guarantor.
Okay.
So nothing was spoken about credit cards or any other thing. It was only about
any other kind of payment.
Ma'am?
Yes, or any other kind of payments that you previously made.
Exactly. Maybe that's it, madam. Fine, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Madam, another question. After the globalization, we know that outsourcing of many services has become a common phenomenon, especially outsourcing of job opportunities from very advanced countries to developed countries, developing or backward. Will it be a common phenomena even in case of fintech services? Outsourcing of fintech services, where foreign companies can outsource their services to developed countries like India.
Definitely, yes. It has started, and you will see in coming times, there are a lot of big companies, even Deloitte and all these big companies are getting these tasks, these projects outsourced. Right, because definitely, see, this reduces one of the major component of cost of companies. If you have to keep all those softwares with you, if you have to keep all those expensive people with you all the time, then definitely it is going to increase your cost. But if you can just simply outsource it, and you can save on highly on your infrastructure cost, highly on your salaries, then definitely it is going to be much more economical for companies. And this is the next big thing that's happening right now and coming up in future. Definitely, outsourcing is going to be there.
Yes, thank you so much, ma'am, for clarifying the doubts of every participant who have posted their questions in the chat box. Now this is the end of the interactive session, and I request all the participants to
I will personally just like to thank you everyone through just a small quote by Brian Herbert. He said, "The capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice." And I'm so glad that all of you made this choice and attend this session. Thank you so much, everyone. God bless you all.
Thank you, ma'am. I request all the participants to turn on your cameras. Kindly turn on your cameras, all the participants. Yes, before that, fill a Google form, take a certificate of the national seminar. Yes, all the participants, kindly turn on your cameras. All the participants, quickly turn on your cameras and fill the Google form, because after filling the Google Google form, you get the participation certificate. Don't forget to fill the Google form. Yes,
నరేష్ అంట మేడం ఒక అబ్బాయి.
all of you, kindly turn on the cams. Do not turn on your mics, turn on your cameras. Now I extend my sincere request to our beloved Vice Principal Sir to extend a vote of thanks. Dr. C.V. Satyanarayana Sir, over to you, sir.
ఇక్కడ వచ్చినాయి మేడం. పీజే
I request our Vice Principal Sir, Dr. C.V. Satyanarayana Sir.
Yeah, good evening, one and all. So, very good evening to everyone, to all the participants. So, I hope the program was really good. I feel like it has given a lot of insights about the FinTech, which is something which is not actually tapped according to the requirement in the market, as far as my knowledge is. Even I heard about this FinTech a couple of weeks back when I attended a webinar on Facebook, actually. So the word FinTech is something new, but the technology that we're using is from a long time, as you said, ma'am. So that's really good. I really thank you, Pooja ma'am, for giving the complete insight, like what FinTech is, what FinTech is, how FinTech has gradually grown, and what its future and all. And one point I would like to add is one of the girl has asked something about DeFi. So DeFi is something which works in the background with the cryptocurrency, ma'am. As you know that. So both are not same, but they perform almost same kind of a concept of transferring the money from one end to the other end. So whatever it is, ma'am. So thank you very much, ma'am. And you have covered almost everything, starting from the stock market to the digital currency. So once again, thank you very much. And I congratulate the Department of Commerce also for organizing such a great webinar with a different topic, and that too from a excellent speaker who has a lot of experience in the technology, ma'am. So I thank all Department of Commerce once again, and congratulate the students for participating in the program and getting the insights about what FinTech is. And also very happy that there are a lot of questions about FinTech. That itself says that students are interested and learned something from this webinar. So thank you very much, madam, once again. And I thank the management of St. Joseph's Degree College, as well as our principal, ma'am, Principal Dr. Shanta, ma'am, for giving this opportunity for the Department of Commerce to run this course. So thank you once again. And I request all the participants to switch on your mic once and just say Jai Hind at a time. So ready? Just all of you, please. Jai Hind. Jai Hind. That's it. Jai Hind. Thank you. And let's put it on. Thank you, ma'am.